In this video, I'm going to share the few things that I've learned in beginning ink making. So it's not really a tutorial, it's just me sharing some things I learned that I'm passing on to you. This is ink that I made, and I made it out of a plant called hibiscus flowers. So what I did is I took a big bunch of plants and I put it in a jar and I covered it with vinegar and let it sit there for a few days. And then I strained out the vinegar and then I added a little bit of distilled water, and you can tell that this one is a different color than this one down here. So the way I got this color difference is I actually added a little bit of another kind of thing I'd been playing with, which was basically iron ink. I had taken some rusty nails and metal bits from my yard and thrown them in with vinegar. So I mixed those two together. Now, so you can really see the difference here. This one has the most iron in it, the different colors. That's one of the fun things to play around with ink making, is you just never know what you're gonna get. So what I wanna talk to you and show you here in this video is there's something in your kit called gum arabic. Now again, I'm not an expert, but what I understand about gum arabic is it acts a little bit, it's a thickener in a sense. It's technically also a binder, but for purposes of on paper ink, watch how long I can go with one dip before it starts to run out, right? And that will actually darken up in time. Do it again. So the more gum arabic you have in your ink, both the longer you can go and the less it will bleed. So what I mean by that is where I put the ink down, it doesn't go outside of that line. If it bleeds, it's starting to soak into the paper this way and you don't get as clean of a line. So you can make ink without gum arabic. It just is fun. You can actually make watercolors with it too if you use even more gum arabic than you would with ink. But you can make your own paint and your own inks with just stuff that you have around the house and stuff from nature. So there's thousands and millions of different recipes for making ink. The one that I used here in this color was simply vinegar with flower parts that made a lot of color. So if you think of anything that will stain your clothing or your mouth, and that's really good for making ink. Blueberries, blackberries, any berry pretty much is good. That's got a lot of juice. There's a lot of roots. There's a lot of minerals that have a lot of color, like just different dirts have different colors for making ink. And all you have to do is get that color out somehow, and vinegar is really good for that. And vinegar doubles as something called a mordant. I'm gonna spell that for you because I'm just having fun drawing with my ink. A mordant is something that keeps your ink from just going all over on your paper. See how it's kind of staying where I put it instead of spreading out? That's actually a chemistry thing, which is not what today's lesson's about. So vinegar is a really good mordant. Now you can make ink with just, like this one is, well not this one, but the other one, this one, is just hibiscus flowers with vinegar and a little bit of salt and a little bit of gum arabic. And that was it. That's all I used. This one I added some of the iron ink, the iron vinegar to it, and it changed the color. Isn't that interesting? And it changes the texture a little bit too. So you get to go home and collect something that has a lot of color and then see if you can extract that color somehow and add vinegar to it or water. You can extract color by boiling. You can extract color by mashing, breaking up into small bits. And then you want to strain out the bits, and you have a coffee filter in your bag. A strainer would be best first if you need to use a coffee filter for something even finer. That's why I put it in there. And then you take that strained pigment. In this picture, that's the hibiscus. And if it's vinegar based, all you have to do from there is add some salt and some gum arabic till you get the consistency that you like. Now, if it's a water-based pigment, then you need to also add some vinegar. The formula is 1 teaspoon of vinegar, if it's a water-based pigment, 1 teaspoon of salt for every half cup of pigment solution. And then you add your gum arabic as pinches at a time until you get the right consistency. And that's your basic formula. From there, you can go on to experiment with all kinds of botanicals and minerals to make all kinds of different inks, mixing different ones together now that you have your basic formula. So I hope you have a ton of fun. I have had so much fun doing this, and I can't wait to do even more. I'm hoping to see what you've made, so send us some pictures and enjoy yourselves outside doing cool things, making ink.